There you have it, our favorite drum beat of the week. It means it's time for Doubling Down here on Trust the Profits Network, on YouTube, and most recently on Nessa Nation. And it's usually Doubling Down with Colin and Vinny, but I'm super excited this week to kick Vinny out of the co-host seat and bring in our good friend from Equibase over at the Inside Track, Ben Kula. Ben, you got so much going on over there at Equibase. First of all, welcome over to Doubling Down. Happy to have you. Vinny's going to do your podcast this week, so we'll do a little collaboration. What's going on over at RaceLens and Equibase?
Oh, well, yeah. We're full heart of fall racing here. What do we got? Just 3 weeks until Breeders' Cup now. So we do have a little promotion going on from now through November 2nd, the day after the Breeders' Cup. You can get an quarterly unlimited subscription for just $99. Excuse me. Save $200 with promo code BC99, which also leads you into, if you do have a quarterly unlimited subscription, you can play in that free Race to NHC, which will give 2 seats to NHC 2026. You can learn more details at equibase.com/NHC.
Yeah, great synergy. We have our Doubling Down contest, which is being sponsored by Horse Tourneys this month. So you have seen plenty of what RaceLens can do on this show. We share it every week. If you go into our app, which you can scan right there on the bar, or go to doublingdown.glide.page, you'll see my RaceLens past performances for this week's Daily Double. For free, you can enter. For free, you put in your Daily Double. And after 6 contests, we're doing 6 contests this month for October, top 3 finishers, top 1 will win $50 credit at Horse Tourneys, and places 2 and 3 will win $25 credit at Horse Tourneys. Look at the current leaderboard. Only 2 people were able to put together a winning Daily Double last week with Shoddy and our friend SPN Nation, Sean Patrick, right here from Trust the Profits. So after only 1 week, we had plenty of entries. There's plenty of opportunity to try and hit a double and get right back up on that leaderboard. So you want to play so you can make some money and get to the top of it. It was a tough week last week with Rhetorical in that second leg. Me and Vinny were all over Ted Noffrey, but that's not a surprise, as so many people were, as he heads to the Breeders' Cup Juvenile as your most likely favorite. But Rhetorical in that second leg was the tricky one to find. Program Trading was one me and Vinny were both really high on, closing really nicely on the turf. And if that race was just a little bit longer, we'd get there with him.
Or with I was all over John Quill. Oh my goodness,
oh,
John Quill. He
was
coming hard. First start in North America, but yeah, Rhetorical. What a performance! First start outside of New York State. Ran a 120 Equibase speed figure. That was the highest of the week of any horse, and it's also Will Walden's first ever Grade 1 victory as well, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, it was, but unfortunately it knocked both me and Vinny out. So Vinny goes back down to 73 cents in the positive on the year, and I'm at 8.29. Ben, we're all the way through October, and we are both in the green after doing this show every single week. So we kind of have this little personal...
That's impressive. That's good.
We're driving.
Both positive ROIs. That's fantastic.
We're both positive, and we're going to keep it going. Vinny's going to stay at 73 cents because he's not here this week. So we'll put my bank line on the line. We're going to go to Keeneland. Ben, how many times have you been to Keeneland so far?
Just about every day besides Wednesday.
Very nice. Nice life you live.
Oh, it's great. Our office is like 10 minutes away. My house is 15 minutes away from Keeneland. And yeah, I mean, like I had a family picnic in Lexington on Sunday. I was like, oh, I got to run over and go see Torpedo Anna, So it's a treat to live in Lexington and wherever. It's all here. It's where it all starts and ends.
Hopefully you say hello to Riders Up Tim. I hope you were able to see him over at the track, and if not, I'll make the connection so you can.
I have not. No, you have to make. I'll be there tomorrow.
He's the tall guy at Keeneland down by the paddock, the nice new paddock. I've seen all the content coming out of the new. It looks beautiful.
Beautiful. It looks like that's the thing about Keeneland. They just whenever they add a renovation or do anything, it looks like it's been there for like a million years. Just seamlessly right into it, and no, it's gorgeous. They did a fantastic job on that.
Yeah, I relate that to Fenway Park. So many changes have been made at Fenway Park, but when you walk in, it still feels like the old historic park built back in 1912. So let's get into our Daily Double for this week. We're going to Keeneland, of course. We can't have you on and not go to Keeneland. My arm was forced in where we had to go. And we decided to start with race 9. It's your Queen Elizabeth II Challenge Cup Stakes for fillies 3-year-olds. Going a mile and 1/8 on the turf. We get a class rating of 107. Nice field of 9 with a previous horse that I am very attracted to because he was a winner for me here on Doubling Down at 6-1. And I looked at your ticket and I said, well, we are going to have one horse to talk about. I have a few more that I'll at least entertain. But for you, you decided to single. Where are you going?
Oh, Fionn. I mean, gosh, what an exceptionally talented twirling candy filly for the Brad Cox barn. Never finished out of the money from 8 career starts. Broke her maiden, second career start, going a mile and 16th on the turf by 4 1/4 lengths. Fairgrounds back in December. Honestly, really hasn't looked back. She went on to win 2 more times in the winter at Fairgrounds, winning an AOC on the turf by a length and a half, earning an 86 Equibase speed figure, and then won her first listed stakes, Lacombe Memorial Stakes, by 1 1/4 lengths. Her only loss in 2025 came from the Grade 2 Appalachian Stakes at Keeneland in April, finishing third to Nitrogen and Vixen, going a mile on the turf, which honestly is just not really her distance. So I'll let that one slide. She had a breakthrough win, graduating to graded stakes win with a nice Grade 3 Regret Stakes performance at Churchill, going back to preferred, mile and eighth distance on the turf, earned a 106 Equibase speed figure for that. And following her win in the Regret, she ran, I think, the best race of her career, winning that Grade 1 Belmont Oaks Invitational, nosing out Nitrogen, an opulent restraint. Who, you know what? That horse I was very impressed with that horse, setting the pace like that, and then really fighting on with Nitrogen. And at Vinny on the inside track, normally, your man, he made a fantastic point. He goes, that's honestly, I think, why Fionn won. He said, because Nitrogen really had to put in that extra effort because opulent restraint was fighting back, and Fionn came over there and got her by a nose. It was such an impressive race, and one of the few horses who can beat Nitrogen. And I think she came back to win the Alabama on her next start. And what does she have? 3 graded stakes wins now in the turf, 2 on the dirt by a combined winning margin of 25 1/4 lengths.
Yeah,
So it's just
a beauty.
like, wow, a beauty. But anyway, back to Fionn. After beating Nitrogen, takes a little 2-month refresher and comes back to win the Grade 3 Dueling Grounds. Oaks at Kentucky Downs last time out, September 10th, earning 105. Equibase speed figure, beating Candy Quest, the 6 in here. Talk about team. I mean, Fionn, she's leading all 3-year-old fillies right now by earnings in 2025, with Nitrogen second. Brad Cox leads all trainers, and Flavian Pratt leads all jockeys on earnings in North America this year. Cox and Pratt winning at 32% in all races together this year, 25% in graded stakes over the last 3 years. They've also won 4 out of the last 8 turf route races together in the last 45 days. So there's something there for you. And tied for first in late pace rating, you'll see on the right, the 113.5. A little nice little RaceLens angle. Brad Cox with horses in graded stakes races on the turf with Flavian Pratt aboard, who won their most previous start. 17 wins for 52 starts, 33% and 60% in the money. I mean, honestly, it's just a big question mark. Is she going to stay, around that 3-1 or not? I'm going to guess not, but.
Yeah, well, you have a couple horses that might challenge. The 2 on the inside I think are interesting. The concern maybe, and I'm going to use this horse as well, absolutely love Fionn. This was the winner I was talking about at 6-1, 2 back at Saratoga. Fionn generally wants that pace up front, right? You talked about Vinny's, Vinny's the pace handicapper on the show for us, and this is a horse that's going to be closing from off the pace. Where's that pace coming from in here is probably a little bit of a concern because there's a lot of horses that have that same running style. Go to the inside, the 1 and the 2 you figure are going to be forwardly placed, and maybe that 5 that you had previously talked about. I noticed how a horse is coming back fairly quickly, coming back from Kentucky Downs, a track that I talk about on this show as one that you like to play against. They have these wins at Kentucky Downs. I think it takes a lot out of horses, and then they come back and they just don't have as big of an effort. They've actually done pretty good at Keeneland over the first 2 weeks. I think there's about 9 or 10 winners that have come from Kentucky Downs to win at Keeneland. That is an angle that most always pops up right here on RaceLens for me, as you can see.
Oh, there you go.
Last race at Kentucky Downs and next race at Keeneland. Taking a look at that, I was looking just before the show started over the last month. 126 starts, only 8% winners with a negative 58% ROI and a very low success score of 1.5. So absolutely an opportunity there if you're not a fan of Fionn. There's reasons where I think you could go against the horse. You have my RaceLens angle of the day there on the right side of the screen, which is the highest late pace in the race, going longer on the turf and coming back within the last 45 days. That hits at 25%, but you could play this game all day if you just find the right angle to get it to convince yourself.
It's really true. Yeah, you can get lost in the data for sure, lost in the sauce, if you will.
But for me, Ben, the reason that I couldn't ignore it, when you're looking at grade one races, this is something I always try to teach the viewers, and I go through the past performances and I try to see, okay, who's had success at grade one or at least at graded stakes. Fian's the one that checks the box here multiple times, right? Has a win at a grade three, a grade one win, and then comes back with another grade three win. Now, you do have some other horses here. The 7 has a grade 3 win at Ellis. The 8 has a grade 3 win. The 6 has a grade 3 win. The 4 has a grade 3 win. So a lot of grade 3 winners on the page. I think that grade 1, the Belmont Oaks, really stands out amongst the rest of the field. Interestingly enough, the average class for Fian is 7 out of 9 here. And if we go into the inside, the number 2, Laurelin, was another one that I wanted to have on my ticket. I realized doing a double, I really struggled. The double is a bet you want to put together with odds in mind. And when I'm using Fian and then also using Laurelin, I kind of realized that I'm not maybe doing the best here, because I think you probably should be taking a stand. But I can't pass up the opportunity, Ben. You haven't been on the show before, but we are big fans of Kendrick Carmouche. So he gets the fireworks and the doubling down on Carmouche. So not only do we have that on our past performances, but we also have the increasing speed figures. 76,
every single race of her life, too.
91, 97, 98, 102. Kendrick Carmouche is riding this horse. Again, only 2 back was the time that he wasn't aboard. Big fans of Carmouche on these types of horses in these types of spots where there's not a lot of early speed. He's great getting out of the gate. He's great putting these horses forwardly placed. This horse has a grade 2 victory last time out and has obviously those 3 stakes in a row. 5 for 5 lifetime. I just couldn't find my way against not putting both of these horses on my ticket. So that's how I'm gonna play it. Is there, if there's one that you're worried about beating you, is who would that be in the race?
Oh, 100% Laurelin. And I do want to point out Kendrick Carmouche, 100% agree with you. Fantastic jockey, like genuinely very, very talented, and also one of the nicest
he's the best
beings ever.
He's the best.
But he's only has I looked it up. He only has 2 starts at Keeneland in the past 5 years. So for him to really want this ride and to leave New York on a decent Saturday, I think that says the world. And then Graham Motion on the turf. I mean, enough said. Over the past year, he's winning at 29% from 52 starts with winners last time out.
Look at them together too.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, so definitely hard to leave her out. The reason I mainly singled Fian is I just could not land on anyone in the 10th, and I was like, this could just be a race. A lot of them just were fresh off the claim here, first off the claim, and it's just so many question marks with that. And I really believe in Fian. But I also Lush Lips. Vinny loved her. He talked all about Lush Lips, runner up last time out in that Grade 1 Delmar Oaks, going the same 1.8 distance. Very talented filly, earned a 107 for her 3 3/4 length win in the Tepin, and then also lost the nitrogen twice, and in the Florida Oaks and the Edgewood. So definitely hard to leave those 2 out, but I am gonna single Fian in here.
Yeah, what I love about Lush Lips is the 3 out of 400 plus Equibase speed figures. So those are kind of the 2, like, you're just getting consistent rides from that horse. But I definitely couldn't use all 3 of those. Then I would definitely get some. 5-1 on Lush Lips is actually really nice. Maybe that was the angle I should have played if I was going to add another
I have
horse.
a good angle for Lush Lips. This one actually hits pretty good. So horses in graded stakes races who finish second in a grade 1 in their most previous race and running next in a graded stakes, any graded stakes, grade 3, grade 2, grade 1. We're at 32%, 57 starts for the last 6 months. I believe it drops to like 29% from like 500 starts or something for a year. But just those runner-ups in grade 1s, it's kind of interesting.
I'm going to have to write that one down. Real quick, don't forget our October Doubling Down contest. It's free to play. Enter at doublingdown.glide.page, sponsored by our friends over at Horse Tourneys. Great tournaments, low prices to get in and play, or you can try to qualify for NHC over at Horse Tourneys. 2, we'll take a quick break right here on Nesson Nation. Stay tuned on Trust the Profits YouTube as we move on to race number 10. There we have it. Race number 10 is the second leg of our daily double for Saturday, October 11th. A field of 12. You singled in your first leg, and I can tell why, because who'd you go with here?
You know, I feel like I can just make a case for just about like all of these horses in here. You know, a starter allowance like this, a lot of horses coming off that claim that kept their conditions. It just was tough for me to land on a winner. I definitely, you know, in normal circumstances would not add all of these horses for sure. But if you're singling, you know, what's a couple bucks to add in, you know, 2 more horses. So I'm going to go with all. Probably the horse I liked the most was actually this one, Did It Dialed. Ran second on career debut on a sloppy track at Churchill in a maiden claimer, earning a 74. Comes right back to break his maiden, the maiden special weight at Horseshoe Indy, earning a 96 Equibase speed figure. You know, he went to Kentucky Downs on the turf, did not take to it. You know, 10th by 16 lengths. But Brian Lynch, as you can see, he's winning at 32% with horses going from turf to dirt from 19 starts this year. So that was definitely, you know, a really interesting one for me. Remy's Moon is very interesting as well. You know, that's what was that? Yeah. George Weaver, right off the claim. Fun fact, I looked through. He has not won first off the claim since January of 2022.
Wow.
You know?
Wow.
Yeah, I thought that was really interesting. But also not too many starts. You know, they don't really claim a whole lot. You know, at least Weaver doesn't. You know, it's tough to go against the Jacobsons, especially when, you know, owned and trained as well. I forget those numbers. The six. Uncle William.
Yep.
Let's take a look at Uncle William. That horse, all right. Won last time out, earning 102 on his first start after the claim for owner sharing David Jacobson. Gaffleone gets the board. They're running at 30% together from 33 starts over the past year in all races. Ranked first in middle and late pace rating, and also first in average class. And he's got the 8-1 morning line. So and he's, you know, 1-for-1 at Keeneland. This horse is really interesting. I'll go, you know what, 1-6 will be my top for those. Obviously going with all in here, but Uncle William, that's quite an interesting horse.
Yeah, I think the fact that the morning line favorite is 4-1 is absolutely at least showing you that it's a very competitive race, and a lot of people are going to go in a lot of different ways. So even getting fee and home, you hopefully will get a nice price based on who wins this next leg. I will use the number 2 Remy's Moon as my on-top pick. Irad and Weaver hitting at 30% together. I watched the last 2 races as you joined. That's what I was doing when you joined the stream here. I was watching this horse's last 2 races. Just really impressive. I mean, Irad was aboard for both of them, and I just watch his movement, and he's really not moving much at all till the stretch. He needs to give a couple nudges to get this horse home. And then 2 back, this horse really had a nice re-break. Was kind of on the lead. Got past and looked like you figured it was going to be all done as Curlin gesture goes by. I love that the horse re-engaged, and you can see on the past performances here was behind by a length and then finishes only behind by a head. Last time out was a winner at the claiming level of 50K. Always really, you know, somewhat competitive. I like the fact that last race was at 7.5 furlongs. They're going 6.5 furlongs here today as well. So I'll use the 2 on top. I also thought that the 8 was very interesting. A horse who just the consistent speed figures for me, just really, really consistent. 90, 92, 98, 85, 87, 98, 98, 94. You could see all these races highlighted in yellow on my RaceLens. That means that the previous races were at purses that are at least equal to or higher than it is to today. And so I went through and wanted to see what horses maybe were competitive at the allowance level. Don't know that you can necessarily say a lot of them were, but I think that this horse absolutely was, who would be most likely forwardly placed You're just going to get a consistent, honest effort from this horse, whether it's on the dirt, whether it's on the turf, whether it's going 6 furlongs, or whether it's going a mile. So I'll take my shot there with
And
Joel
look at he
Rosario.
was 3-1 in that race last time out at Kentucky Downs, and
Yeah,
those are heavy players come for those huge allowances just for those purses, and for him to be 3-1, and yeah, stumbled at the start really bad there, and he normally would not be that far, but back at the beginning of the race, definitely the one outlier in his running line. So no, I like that pick a lot, for sure.
and then the only other one I will use is the other Jacobson is the 4-1 morning line favorite, but 4-1. Hopefully he's not. Hopefully the double will pay okay for me if we can get it home with being in such a competitive leg. Again, you get some increasing speed figures. Jose is aboard, has a win at the distance, and really was a turnaround when this horse moved to the David Jacobson barn. Jumped up from 80s to the 96, 94. So I'll use Count the Brave here as well on my ticket. So that's where I'll go 289. You went 1-6. Anybody else that you want to mention?
Oh, I did like Count the Brave. I do we talk about Pineland?
That was the
That was
last.
an
Yes, that
interesting
was the one
horse.
I had talked about.
Okay, okay,
Yep.
we talked about Pineland.
Yeah.
Uh, oh, what was the Baffert one? That Utopian. Look at this horse. All right, starts his career in 2023, number 7, 21 morning line, out there at Del Mar with Bobby B. And then runs, I mean, a decent third with Juan Hernandez aboard. And just gone for 2 years. Resurfaces at Louisiana Downs, runs a distant second, and then wins on a sloppy track at Churchill last time out, earning a 79. Like that's the thing. Like all these horses, there's such they can win. Like it's just such weird times. I had a hard time landing one. Air Defiance was a little interesting too. Three
Yeah.
straight wins, but definitely a huge jump up in class, I'd say, but also at the same time, maybe not as big as I'd think. Luis Saez aboard, and he was back aboard in 2023 when this horse broke his maiden by 6 lengths in a maiden special weight at Keeneland, back when this horse was in the Brad Cox barn, way back there. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
it's some muddied past performances on quite a few of these horses. We'll take a look at the RaceLens pace projection, which has your number 2, Remy's Moon. Another reason that helped me feel a little bit more confident in that pick on top. But at 17%, it just once again the data is showing you that this is a fairly wide open race. So RaceLens will have the 2:11.9 with the pace projecting to be a slow one. Advantage going to horses that will most likely be on the front end, and on the front end it has the 6, 9, 5, 4, and 11. So quite a few horses there it sees with that early pace, which is part of the reason I like Count the Brave. Ben can be found over at Equibase on the inside track. I'm hoping we'll have a lot of Breeders' Cup coverage coming up.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So we're not going to do an inside track, but we will have a full Equibase podcast for Breeders' Cup Week. That'll be with Christina Blacker on there, Dan Tordman from ABR. We'll have Dan Piazza, the 2025 NHC champion, as well as Scott Coles, the 2019 NHC champion, and Kenny McPeak will be joining us at the beginning of the show as well. So that'll be coming out on Tuesday night, the week of Breeders' Cup. I forget that date, but that Tuesday.
That's awesome. And Kenny McPeak obviously having some big news out on social media with coverage of Torpedo Anna, and Torpedo Anna not running as expected there over at Keeneland, but such a fascinating filly to have watched over the last few years, and just really exciting when you have a competitive filly in the mix. And Kenny did such a good job of bringing that filly to the fans.
And being so transparent, even sending walking videos after you finish fourth in that spinster, and just allowed fans to be part of the whole experience, and that's what racing's all about. She really brought a lot of people together. I loved her. I mean, I was rooting for, I did have money on nitrogen. I'm not gonna lie, but I had my torpedo hat on, and she just what a cool filly. I honestly hope they retire her. I just instead of running back so short in 3 weeks, I think she's done her job. She's done enough, and kind of go out on top. Those are just my 2 cents as a racing fan. But
Yeah, I absolutely agree with you. Maybe not so much with Patch Adams, though. I think he should come back and have a couple more efforts.
That was interesting.
Yeah. With that, here's our tickets for doubling down. October 11th, Keeneland, race 9 and 10. Race 9, I'm going to go 2-9, and in race 10, I'm going 2-8-9. That'll cost you $6. Ben's going to go 9. Just got to get fee and home with everybody in race 10. That ticket will cost him $12 total. Be sure to not forget to get over to the app and get your picks in because we got money on the line at Horse Tourneys. Ben, thanks so much for doing this. We love having you. Check out the inside track as we see what Vinny does for. We'll get him out of the double mode and see if he can pick some winners for you at Keeneland as well for Saturday. Until next time, I'm Colin. He's Ben. Good luck, everybody, and have a great time at the track.